Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the McGonagall Boxing Podcast. Let's get straight down to it. The super fight is here. All the marbles, all the welterweight titles. Yes, Spence holds the majority of them, but Crawford, I believe, is the number one welterweight in the division. But what a fight. Spence, Crawford, this Saturday, Las Vegas, T-Mobile Arena. Live on Showtime, live on tntsports, formerly known as BT Sports in the UK. It's going to be worth the wait, isn't it? A lot of people will give you a lot of predictions, a lot of breakdowns, and I totally get it. People saying it's a 50-50 fight. There's lots of Spence fans out there. There's a lot of Crawford fans out there. For me, there's only one winner. That's Crawford. I believe firmly that he's going to stop Spence. I believe He'll make adjustments in the mid-round. He'll hurt Spence and he'll get him out there. I really believe that. Failing that, and if I'm wrong, and it's not the first time I've been wrong, I believe Crawford should win a comfortable points decision. Although I am concerned because Spence is obviously the PBC guy, the Al Heyman guy. It's in Vegas. You know what the Vegas judges are. He's the younger man. He's got the wider appeal, of course. He's got dual heritage, Jamaican, American. He's younger. He's more appealing to, like I say, a catchment area. He appeals to women, men, children. Spence, Crawford, not so much, although he's kind of trying to do his best to be a family man these days, of course. So I do worry. I do worry if it goes to the judges. I don't think it will, though. I think Crawford is the master at making adjustments, and I believe he'll work out Spence. He'll work out that Spence ultimately likes to lead with the left hand. He likes to shut up shop tight, and he'll just likes to flow flurries of punches. But leaving that, I think he'll do what Porter did in many ways to Spence. I think he'll counter him. And remember, timing beats speed. And I don't think Spence is the same fighter since that horrendous car accident. You can't be. You can't be in a coma for 6 days, hospitalised, for 3 weeks, and be the same. You just cannot. I don't care what anyone says. Pre-car accident, early 2019, the Mikey Garcia demolition. And yes, Mikey Garcia was moving up and he was a lot smaller. But Spence was impressive. I mean, I firmly believe that Spence beats Crawford and probably stops him in power, speed, precision, confidence. But since then, he's fought 3 times. And let's be honest, since the accident in 2019, he's fought twice. He fought once against a faded Danny Garcia that was never really putting anything on him. And to be fair, that was a smart, calculated fight. And then, of course, last year in April, so that's over a year ago, he fought Ugas, who, beat an aged old Pacquiao, and he was pretty old himself, and lost 4 times. So he looked impressive, and he stopped him, and credit Spence, he looked good, and he's clearly the top 3 welterweights at the moment in the world, no question. But I don't think he's Crawford. Crawford, in return of that, has been fighting steadily since 2013. And yes, the last couple of years he's fought once a year, but he stayed active, he stayed fit, and he stayed competitive against the best fighters in the world. I mean, David Avanesian, a very tough fighter, top 5, last year in December. So he's got his eye in compared to Spence April 2022. That's no good when you come up against a Crawford. You need to be sharp, you need to be honed. I would like to see Spence in the ring 6 months ago. It doesn't weigh well. And yes, people say he's got the size, but people forget that Crawford's been a welterweight now for 5 years? 6 years? He's grown into it. He's 35, 36. I don't think he's an old 35, 36 either. He hasn't taken any damage, has he? And I think he's very much in his prime. Maybe 2 years' time he'll start to fade, but right now I think he's trained like a demon. He's up for this. Maybe he's trained too hard. That's the only blotch I can possibly see. A bit like Hagler against Leonard, but I don't think so. I think Crawford's such a pro. He's so focused. And yes, I'm aware the fans will be behind Spence. I think he's got more of a backstory. The comeback story after that horrendous crash, the dual heritage, I think it's a big thing. But I think that will... So it will start early. It will start cagey. It will start competitive. A bit like the Brook Crawford fight, and I expect Spence early on to win some rounds, and I think the crowd will get behind him. But then, of course, what Crawford does so well, he makes adjustments. He can fight orthodox as well as southpaw, and he'll figure Spence out, leading with the left hand. He'll go back to orthodox, and he'll start countering and timing, and he'll wear Spence down. And Crawford's just got just as devastating hand speed, probably not quite as much power, but again, it's the shots you don't see coming. And I just think the barrage, the timing will get to Spence, and I think he can be wobbled, he can be hurt. I think Brook is as wobbled. I think Porter wobbled Spence as well, you know. And I think you look at the demolition jobs Crawford did on them guys, and I know fights make styles, and it's not always the same as A beats B, so B beats C. I know it doesn't work like that, but you got to look and go, Crawford for me is the overwhelming favourite, and I think he probably will stop Spence around 8 and 9 on the ropes. Barring that, he should win a wide points decision, but just hope he doesn't get robbed in Vegas. But listen, it's a great fight, you know. Obviously you had the Inoue fight a few days ago. We want the best versus the best, and they're putting the heavyweights to shame right now, the smaller guys. It's a fantastic fight. It's going to be sold out. There's going to be stars from all other sports going to this fight, and that's what you want. You want boxing on the mainstream. You want it on the front and back pages, and this fight certainly does that. It's a super fight. They're both great fighters. I just don't think that. I think Spence is very much on the decline, and ironically, even though he's older, I think Crawford's still very much the man. And I don't see him fading. I don't see him getting old overnight or in the ring in this fight. And I think, you know, it's going to take a lifetime performance from Spence, who had a 2-for-now fight with Brook in his prime, and Crawford's better than Brook. And Spence is not in his prime anymore. And I think Crawford's getting better and better and better. I think he's a better fighter than he was, 10 years ago when he he had a tough fight against Ricky Burns, for instance. I think it's his time. He's grown into welterweight. I don't think size is going to be that much of a difference, and I'm favouring Crawford big time on this one. I'd like to know what you guys think. Do you think Spence's pressure, reach and height will get to Crawford? I don't think so. I think Crawford will get inside that and put the pressure on. But it'll be interesting. There's some absolute experts out there convinced that Spence is going to be too much. So it's very interesting. This is what great fights are about. For me, like I say, I think Crawford has too much. He's too sharp. I don't think Spence is the same fighter he was. I think he's been too inactive. I think, he's messed around with the nightlife too much. What caused that car crash was drinking drugs. I don't think you can mess around and be the same fighter doing that, or the car crash. It's going to take a lifetime performance from Spence. I don't think he's got it in him. I think Crawford's too much, and I think Crawford wins. But what a fight. I think it'll be really, really good early on. I expect Spence to probably be up, but like Brook was after 3 or 4, but then Crawford makes adjustments and gets Spence out there. I just hope there's no robbery though. I hope that Vegas, if it does go points, Vegas judges are fair and honest and not back in the PBC man, which so often happens. Yeah, Al Heyman fighter. Let's see though, it's going to be brilliant. This Saturday, cannot wait. For me though, there's only one king of the welterweights, and it's Terence Crawford.